It was about 7 summers ago, at a family reunion up near Lake Pinehurst, North Carolina. You know the type: red solo cups, too many folding chairs, a lot of potato salad, and somebody's playlist stuck on early 2000s country. My cousin Jason came with his wife, Rachel, and their 2 daughters, Lauren and Lily. I remember them well because I ended up watching all the kids for a while that afternoon, including my own. My daughter, Ava, was 14 then and played the big cousin role with pride. She and Lily hit it off fast. They shared a tent one night, made s'mores, swapped stories, the whole thing. Ava says Lily was the silly one, always trying to tell ghost stories that didn't make sense, laughing at her own punchlines. I took the kids fishing the next morning. It was chaos, tangled lines, snack breaks every 5 minutes, but Lily caught a little sunfish and refused to let me toss it back. Named it Captain Wiggles. I took a photo, Ava on the dock, Lily next to her holding the fish with both hands like it was sacred. It was just a good day. One of those memories that sticks, for no real reason except that it felt whole. Then, 2 years later, I saw a Facebook post from Jason and Rachel. They'd taken Lauren to Myrtle Beach. Cute photos, big smiles, only one kid. Only Lauren. I thought maybe Lily was camera shy or sick that day. But after a few more posts, holidays, school events, family trips, it was always just Lauren. So I asked. I messaged Rachel and said something like, "Hey, how's Lily doing?" She replied, "We only have one daughter. Lauren." At first I assumed she was joking. I reminded her about the lake, the fishing trip, the way we talked about how Lily was short for Lillian, which Rachel said sounded vintage but not dusty. She said I must be confusing them with someone else. That's when I checked my old photos. They were still there, but Lily wasn't. The picture from the dock. Just Ava. The fish, still dangling, but no Lily. Not even a shadow. It looked like Ava was posing for no one. I asked Ava to look through her own photos. Same deal, the selfies from their tent, the group shot at the picnic table, all still there. But every trace of Lily had vanished. Ava stared at her screen for a long time. Then she said, quiet as a breath, she was here. I remember her. We sang a dumb song about swamp witches. I didn't just make that up. I started asking around. Aunts, uncles, cousins. No one remembered Lily. Not even Jason's parents, who, I swear, gave her that sparkly purple backpack at the reunion. And that's when it sank in. Only Ava and I remembered her. A kid who had a name, a laugh, a fish she named Captain Wiggles, and now she's not in the pictures. Not in anyone's memory. Not even her parents. It's not just that she vanished. It's that it looks like she was never there to begin with. After that night, I couldn't stop digging. I stayed up until 3 a.m., scrolling through every digital folder, every backup I had from that summer. Not just the fishing photo. I wanted proof. Tangible proof that Lily existed, that it wasn't some collective hallucination between me and my daughter. I found 3 pictures I knew she'd been in. A group shot in front of the cabin, one of the kids roasting marshmallows, and a candid I took of Rachel braiding someone's hair on the porch. In every one, Lily was gone. And I don't mean blurred or obscured. I mean she wasn't there. Even the spacing was off, like the universe had scooted everyone slightly closer together to compensate for a missing person. But the posture of Ava, the angle of her arms, you could see she was leaning towards someone. Someone who wasn't there anymore. I thought maybe, it was a glitch. Some kind of data corruption or weird cloud sync issue. So I called my dad, who still uses disposable cameras for everything and keeps boxes of prints in his basement like it's 1997. He had photos from the reunion. I drove out the next day and flipped through album after album. Barbecue scenes, cornhole tournaments, my Uncle Dave trying to juggle beer cans. And then I found the group photo on paper. Real film. I remembered this one specifically. I was standing just out of frame, making faces to get the kids to smile. Lauren was there. Ava, too. Jason and Rachel. But no Lily. No gap, no missing body. Just, arranged as if Lily had never been part of it. That's when the real dread hit me. Because I remembered taking a photo of my great-aunt Nancy with Lily. Just the two of them. Lily had given her a leaf she'd found shaped like a heart. I remembered how happy Nancy had looked. I found the frame in the hallway at Nancy's house the next weekend. Same frame. Same wall. Same photo. Only this time, it was just my Aunt Nancy, smiling at someone off camera. I asked her about it. She furrowed her brow, looked at the frame, and said, "That's a sweet picture. I think you took it." I did. But I didn't say anything. Because the longer I stared at that photo, the more something gnawed at the back of my mind. Nancy's arm, the way it was positioned, bent awkwardly around nothing. It looked like she was hugging air. Or something that had once been there and had been carefully, perfectly, removed. I left that day feeling like the world was rearranging itself in tiny ways I wasn't meant to notice. Like reality was doing damage control. And Ava? She'd gotten quiet. Jumpy. Said she had a dream where Lily was knocking on her window, trying to speak but mouthing something she couldn't hear. And I think that's what's messing with me the most. Not the silence. But the feeling that something's still trying to talk. I tried to be rational. I really did. I told myself maybe Lily was a friend's kid. Maybe someone's niece had tagged along, and my brain had just folded her into the family memory over time. That kind of thing happens, right? Memories aren't perfect. I almost convinced myself. But Ava wouldn't let it go. She started texting cousins. Not just the ones from the reunion, everyone. People we barely talked to. Her texts were all some variation of, "Do you remember a girl named Lily from the Pinehurst reunion?" Most of them responded like she'd asked about a ghost story. "Nah, just Lauren." Or, "I think you mean Ava's little sister." Which? I don't have a second daughter. One cousin even said, "That's a pretty name. Wish we had a Lily in the family." So I took it further. I logged into my old laptop, the one I used during that trip. Dug into every digital corner, downloads, trash, email threads, even my old photo backups. Then I searched for the word Lily. And that's when it got strange. I found a folder called Reunion_Lake, dated that same summer. Inside were a bunch of JPGs, nothing remarkable at first glance. Until I looked at the file names. One said, Lily_fish. JPG. My heart jumped. That was it. That had to be the photo of her holding Captain Wiggles. I opened it. It was Ava, alone on the dock. Fish on the line. The photo I'd seen a dozen times by now. But why the file name? I clicked the next one. Lily_portrait. JPG. It was Rachel, alone on the porch, braiding a section of hair. No Lily. I tried opening the photos in an older viewer. Same result. I right-clicked and checked the metadata. That's when my stomach dropped. The embedded data said the photo had originally been taken with a Canon Rebel T6i, Rachel's camera, not mine. The timestamp matched the reunion. But then I saw this. Edited, August 4, 2021, software, unknown. August 4th. That was the night I first asked about Lily on Facebook. The night Rachel told me they only had one daughter. But the metadata didn't say the file had been replaced. It said it had been modified. As if something had gone back in and quietly adjusted the image. I didn't sleep much that night. Ava came into my room around 1 a.m. She looked pale, shaken. She held up her phone. "Dad," she said, "I heard Lily's voice in a video I never recorded." She showed me the file. A 2-second clip. Dark. Just a bit of rustling. Then a girl's voice, whispering, clear as day. "I'm not gone. You forgot the wrong one." And then it cut to black. The video on Ava's phone wouldn't play again. We tried. Over and over. It gave us an error message, or just showed a black screen. But that voice, those 7 words, were burned into both of our memories. "I'm not gone. You forgot the wrong one." I told myself it had to be some kind of glitch. Maybe an old recording that had gotten scrambled. Except Ava never recorded it. And she doesn't keep voice memos. She doesn't even use Snapchat. I asked her when it showed up. She said it was just there. In her camera roll. No notification, no upload, nothing. Timestamped for 2:14 a.m. And here's the part that made my skin crawl. At 2:14 a.m., I'd been standing in the hallway outside her door. Listening. Because I swore I'd heard something knocking, soft, rhythmic, like someone tapping lightly on the window screen. She'd been asleep. At least, I thought she was. After that, things got stranger. Not big horror movie strange, not spinning heads or levitating objects. It was smaller than that. Quieter. One morning, I found a crayon drawing on our fridge. It wasn't Ava's style, it was childish. Blocky. Like something drawn by a much younger hand. It showed a girl with blonde hair and a crooked smile, standing next to a blue lake. A little sunfish dangled from a fishing pole. Captain Wiggles. At the bottom, in awkward handwriting. Lily and me, age 9. But the paper wasn't new. The edges were yellowed. The tape holding it up was brittle and cracked, like it had been there for years. I asked Ava if she drew it. She just stared at it and said, "I remember this." But I didn't make it. Later that day, I got a call from Jason. He said he'd been organizing his garage and found an old camcorder in a plastic tub marked Lake Trip. It still worked. He watched the footage. There were a few clips, the kids playing tag, Rachel cooking hot dogs, Ava laughing at something off camera. Then one short clip where the camera pans across the dock. Jason said there were 3 girls sitting on the edge. But now, when he plays it again, there are only 2. And here's the thing that chilled me. He never mentioned the name Lily. Not once. But before he hung up, he said this. "You ever feel like a memory is still trying to happen? Like it's knocking?" Something started to feel off in the house. Not haunted, exactly. Not like I was being watched. More like the floor plan had shifted by half an inch. Like a doorway I'd walked through 1,000 times didn't quite open the same anymore. I tried to ignore it. Keep things normal. But Ava wasn't sleeping well. Said the knocking had stopped, but now she was hearing footsteps at night, slow, light, like someone pacing just outside her door. I told her it was probably me. She didn't argue. Then she asked me something I didn't know how to answer. "Dad, did I ever have a sister?" I felt my heart go still. "No," I said. "You were our only." "Right," she said, but she didn't look convinced. "Why?" "Because I had this dream. There was a bunk bed. I was on the bottom. Someone was humming above me. I wanted to say, that's just a dream. But I remembered the tent at Lake Pinehurst. The way Ava and Lily had curled up in sleeping bags, telling swamp ghost stories and singing made-up campfire songs. That humming? It was real once. Later that night, I pulled out an old keepsake box from the attic. Ticket stubs, scribbled cards, random Polaroids. I didn't know what I was hoping to find. What I found instead was a page from an old school directory. From Ava's 3rd grade year. There was her name. Then ours. Then, one line below, another name. Lillian May Carter. Same address. Same emergency contact info. Same phone number. I blinked. It was typed, printed. Not handwritten. I flipped the page. Her name wasn't there anymore. I flipped back. Now it wasn't on the first page either. Like it had blinked out mid-read. I sat there for a long time with the directory open in my lap, feeling that same familiar nausea I felt looking at those edited photos. Like I'd just brushed against something I wasn't supposed to notice. I told myself I was tired. Stressed. Maybe misreading. Until I turned on my phone and checked Ava's contact list. She had a name saved under my other half 2 hearts. I tapped it. No number. No messages. No history. Just a name, Lil. And when I tried to delete it, the screen went black for half a second. Then it was gone. I don't know what I expected to happen next. Maybe everything would stop. Maybe we'd wake up one morning and things would be normal again, as if the whole Lily thing had been a shared fever dream. But instead, things started coming back. Not Lily herself, not exactly. Just impressions. Residue. Moments that had no business existing anymore. It started small. Ava found a hoodie in the laundry she didn't recognize. Bright yellow, covered in hand-drawn Sharpie doodles, stars, frogs, a fish with a crown. Captain Wiggles, she said, holding it up like something sacred. This was hers. It didn't smell like it had been stored away. It smelled like fresh detergent. I asked Rachel about it. She denied ever seeing it before. Claimed it must have been left by one of Ava's friends. But the stitching on the tag had Rachel's initials. Like she'd sewn it herself. Ava started wearing it constantly. Said it helped her sleep. That's when I did something I hadn't tried yet. I drove back to Lake Pinehurst. It was about 3 hours from home, maybe more with traffic. The road felt familiar in that half-remembered dream way, the turns known by muscle memory, not logic. As I pulled into the campground, I had this overwhelming sensation that I was early for something I'd already attended. The cabins were still there. Still weathered. Still sinking a little into the soft lakeside dirt. But the one we'd stayed in, the one with the crooked screen door and the faded fish-shaped welcome sign, it was boarded up. A hand-painted plank nailed across the front said, "Cabin closed, do not enter." I asked the groundskeeper what happened. He looked at me like I'd said something wrong. "That cabin's been sealed since 18, he said. "Nobody uses it." "We stayed there in 2016, I told him. He squinted. "You sure about that?" I was. But when I pulled up the reservation confirmation on my phone, it said Cabin 4. The boarded-up one was Cabin 5. Except I remember Ava running through that crooked screen door with Lily chasing behind her, yelling about frogs. I walked down to the dock. It was shorter than I remembered. Older. The boards warped from sun and rain. I sat at the edge and closed my eyes. And I swear on everything I know, for a split second, I felt someone's hand brush mine. Small. Warm. Like a child sitting beside me. When I opened my eyes, there was nothing but water and wind. But in the reflection, there were 3 ripples. Ava's birthday came around not long after that. She turned 20, and we kept it low-key. Just dinner, a few friends, a quiet night. I didn't expect anything unusual. Honestly, I thought maybe the weirdness had passed. But that night, she got a card. No return address. No postmark. Just a plain envelope on the kitchen counter, slipped between the bills like it had always been there. The front was written in purple gel pen, in looping cursive. "Happy birthday, sis." Inside was a hand-drawn picture. Two girls sitting on a dock, holding a fish between them. One wore Ava's yellow hoodie. The other had a gap-toothed grin and a ponytail. At the bottom, L plus a forever, 2016. Ava didn't speak for almost a minute. Just held the drawing in both hands, mouth slightly open, like she'd been punched in the memory. Then she said, quietly, "I remember this. But it was a dream." It wasn't. I checked the handwriting. Compared it to an old crayon note Ava had from elementary school. The L was different. Sharper. Not hers. We both knew whose it was. That night, I checked the photo drawer again. I hadn't touched it since Lake Pinehurst. But something compelled me. And there it was. The group photo. The one on the dock. Only this time, Lily was in it. Just barely. On the edge of the frame, half lit by sun, one arm raised in a wave. Like she'd just stepped back into the picture. I showed it to Ava. She said, "She's coming closer." And she was right. I pulled up the old digital version. The same photo I'd checked 100 times. Now Lily wasn't just on the edge. She was between Ava and Lauren, grinning, hand on Ava's shoulder like she never left. And when I zoomed in, I saw something that hadn't been there before. In the reflection of the lake, their shadows didn't match. Ava and Lauren were facing forward. But Lily's shadow was turned toward them. Watching. After the birthday card, I stopped trying to explain it. Whatever logic I'd been clinging to, misremembered names, corrupted photos, maybe some rare psychological hiccup, it didn't apply anymore. Because this wasn't just about memory. It was about presence. Things began shifting subtly, like the house was adapting to make space for someone else. Ava's bookshelf had a new novel on it, The Girl at Pinehurst, dog-eared halfway through. A title I'd never bought. Author I didn't recognize. When I asked Ava about it, she said, "I think Lily gave it to me." She said it casually, like she meant it. I opened the book that night and flipped through. The story was simple: a girl loses her best friend at a lake. Everyone forgets her, even her family. Only the girl remembers, and she starts hearing her friend's voice through the water. The final page was blank. Except for a sentence written in the margin. "You can bring me back if you remember me right." I stared at that sentence so long it stopped making sense. Read it again. Again. Until the words started to feel heavy. The next morning, Ava was gone. Not missing, just absent. Her bed still made, car in the driveway, but no sign of her. I called, texted, even walked the neighborhood. Then I checked the dock photo again. Lily was still there. But Ava wasn't. In her place, an empty space between the cousins. One hand still frozen mid-wave, fingers curled around nothing. I ran outside, heart pounding. I didn't know where I was going, I just drove. Instinct led me back to Pinehurst. The lake was glassy. Silent. But at the edge of the dock, I found something. Ava's phone. Face down, screen cracked. Still recording. I hit play. First, wind. Then footsteps. Then a voice. Small. Familiar. "You came back." Another voice. Ava's. "I remember you." Silence. Then the same voice again, older now. Like it had been waiting. "Then I don't have to hide anymore." The last sound was a splash. I stared at the lake. And for the first time in my life, I felt like it was looking back. The dock creaked under me. I stepped to the edge, just like before, and looked down into the water. Nothing stirred. No wind. No fish. Just my own reflection, and for a moment, someone else's beside it. A girl, half-turned. Blonde. Smiling. I blinked. Gone. I should have run. Should have driven home and locked every door and tried to forget all of it. But instead I sat down. Right where Ava must have been. And I said her name out loud. Ava. Nothing. Then, softly, a ripple spread across the water. And a voice. Faint. Familiar. She's not lost. It wasn't Ava. She remembered me. She chose to stay. Lily? I asked, my voice shaking. Another ripple. Another whisper. They forget us because something wants it that way. It takes the ones who don't belong. It rearranges the rest. A pause. But we left a crack open. I didn't understand. Still don't, really. I asked what it wanted. Why it had taken her. The voice came again, quiet but firm. It didn't take her. She traded places. And that's when the lake went still. And in the silence, I felt it, like a hand sliding across the surface of my thoughts, peeling something back. I remembered something I hadn't before. A second crib in Ava's nursery. The lullabies sung twice. 2 cupcakes on her 5th birthday. Photos I didn't recall taking, now flickering in the back of my mind like dim candlelight. It had always been both of them. Until it wasn't. Until something, someone, decided one was extra. Spare. Easy to erase. But Ava had remembered. And now Lily was here again. Somewhere beneath the surface, waiting. Not gone. Just, reversed. I don't know how long I sat on that dock. The sun dipped lower, the lake turned black, and I kept waiting for something, a ripple, a voice, a sign that I could still fix it. Still bring Ava back. But there was nothing. Just the silence pressing in from the woods, the kind that doesn't echo because it knows you're listening. Eventually, I drove home. Ava's room was just as she left it. The yellow hoodie still on the back of her chair. But her scent was gone. Like the air had stopped acknowledging her. I looked through every photo again. Lily was there now. In every single one. But Ava? Ava had become the smudge. The half-shadow. The one the others leaned toward without realizing it. I called Jason again. This time I asked plainly, "Do you remember Ava?" He paused. Then said, "You mean your niece?" My blood went cold. "No. My daughter." Another pause. "I thought you didn't have kids," he said. And hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I opened my photos again. There was one I hadn't noticed before. Taken from behind, 2 girls walking down a trail in the woods, hand in hand. Same yellow hoodie. Same camp backpacks. Captioned, Lily and Addie, age 12. I don't know who Addie is. But something deep in me, something trembling and small, does. Because when I tried to delete the photo, the screen wouldn't respond. And as I looked closer, I realized one of the girls had turned her head slightly toward the camera. Just enough for me to see the grin. A crooked smile. One I remember from a girl who held up a sunfish and laughed like she'd caught the moon. So here's the part one can't explain. I remember Ava. Fully. Viscerally. But now there's this other set of memories, flickering behind hers like a slideshow out of sync. 2 childhoods overlapping. One growing dimmer. And every time I close my eyes, I hear Lily's voice again, from deep below. You forgot the wrong one. But I don't think it was a warning. I think it was a correction.